Oh, come on. Whoa! So today's video is going to be a little different. You're going to come with me outside. I'm going to do more of a vlog style type of video, and we're going to go through my garden plans, what I plan on doing out in the garden this year. We're changing some stuff up. We're tearing some beds out, putting new beds in. We're maximizing the space that I want to garden in. And then I'm going to bring you back inside. I have a new seed starting shelf. I don't know if you can see the box down there in the hallway. I have a box with new grow lights. I quickly realized over the weekend that when I start majority of my seeds, like my big peppers and tomatoes and stuff like that here very soon, I am not going to have enough room downstairs with the one shelf that I have right now. So I bought another shelf, same setup. I'm going to walk you guys through that, show you how it's built, how easy it is to set up. And then I'm going to give you an update on the onion seedlings that I started. And there's just a lot of things that I am trying, new things that I've gotten in. I just want to share with you guys, and it made sense to kind of do it all in one like vlog style video. Okay, so I'm going to take you out here. We're going to walk out to the garden, and I'm going to show you my paper plan after I show you kind of what the layout is. So this is kind of what we're working with right now. Hot mess, I know. So this is what I have drawn up. So it's actually like what you're looking at out there is what it is on paper. Let me set this down so I can kind of show you. So we got the patio, which is right here, and my house is literally right there. And what I'm looking to do is I'm going to be building a bed here, a bed in the center, and two big beds on the back side. I need more vertical space. So I'm working on like figuring out a cucumber trellis. I'm going to do watermelon over here. I have tomatillos, I have cherry tomatoes, all kinds of things. So let me show you what we had previous years. So for previous years, we had these county line bins. Each year I have expanded my garden. I first started out with these two county line bins right here. They were great, especially to start out gardening, find out if I actually truly loved gardening. I didn't want to go all full force in and like hate it and not be able to do it. The next year we were able to get these two small bins and another big one. So when it was warm last week, I was able to come out here and shovel out a lot of the good dirt that was sitting on top of all these bins. Like as much as I could that had thawed out, because like right now I think it's 35 degrees and a lot of this is still pretty frozen. Now I've come to the point where these two bins, which were my very first ones, have a lot of fill dirt in them. And it's very clay. Like you can see the huge clumps in this dirt, and how I don't want that to be towards the top of my growing medium when I'm having a, like when I'm making my bed. And I'm also trying to do this in the most efficient way possible. I don't want to have to like re-shovel a billion times. So we were able to remove this one. My husband actually drug it all the way behind our shed over there. You can kind of see it sitting back there, and we're going to figure out what we're going to do. He kind of wants to make a pepper garden over on this side of the house because he likes really hot peppers. We do ghost peppers. We're doing habaneros this year. All kinds of things like that. But I was able to actually top these beds off, these Vego beds, which I just did a Vigo bed review on my channel last Saturday. So you guys can go ahead and look at that if you want to kind of see what my thoughts about these beds and if I recommend them. I have my yarrow from last year actually coming back, which is super exciting. This is a yellow yarrow, and I will show you I actually started some yarrow this year from seed, which I've never done. I actually bought those as starters from a local flower lady. We have this bed over here, my round bed, which I always do green beans in this bed, but I'm going to be swapping some plants around, kind of moving them around. Over here was oregano, and it got pretty big. And let's just say, I don't think it's coming back. I mean, I've never done oregano before. Last year was my first year, and they say that it can come back in zones up to like zone 5. This looks pretty dead to me. I've even tried to dig it up. Like, I don't see any green growth in there at all. I don't know. Like, I need to probably pull up a YouTube video or something and see if that's like pretty normal. I didn't cover it or anything, but as you saw, the yarrow was literally coming back up and had green in it already. So before, and I will post pictures, I had a trellis right here. This is always where we planted our cherry tomatoes, our tomatillos, things like that. So the cattle panel is actually back here. I don't know how much you can actually see it because it kind of blends in with all this tree brush area. But we have that back here because we're going to probably be cutting it up, doing a whole bunch of different trellises with that. But I went out when it was nice and we actually picked up a couple of these little corner cement area thingies. And we're going to be building raised beds in those areas. So removing this raised bed here, raised bed right here, and then my yard has a slope. I'm sure you can see that those are like all sloping. We're gonna build 2 raised beds right on this back side. This is like a 22-foot area where I can kind of put a bed, and I'm trying to maximize my space. I love that if I do the wood, that I can build it at an angle and it's not gonna be a hassle, or like I'm not gonna have to try to level it like I did with these. Like you can see this is dug into the ground because it had to be leveled. As far as progress goes, we're kind of at a standstill until it gets a little bit warmer. We have some 60-degree days coming, I think this week, but it's supposed to be raining. So pretty much what I have to do, because I don't want to keep piling dirt, like the bad clay dirt, on this area where I'm going to be building this bed, I need to build these 2 beds in the back and then put the clay dirt on the bottom and then the good dirt on top. Okay, I'm just gonna put the shelf together up here and have my husband help me carry it down the stairs once it's built. I know it can go up and down the stairs because last year we actually had this exact shelf, lights, everything set up right behind where the camera's at because I didn't feel like having my seeds downstairs. It was just easier for me to have them up here. But our living space is pretty, like, it's not small by any means, but compared to our previous house in Texas, this is a little bit smaller living area. So I will put up on the screen the exact stuff that I bought for this shelf, if you're wondering, because this stuff is really inexpensive. I've had my setup, the first one that's downstairs, probably for 2 years. But the lights are really inexpensive. The shelf is inexpensive. I think I spent like $110 total for the both of them. This is just an Amazon basic wire shelf. And then these are the LED lights that I have, and they are super nice. Like, I like them a lot. I will link them down below too, just so you can click on them, but I will put a picture up here so you can look it up also. Now, if you're looking to get started and you don't have a seed shelf and you've never started any seeds and you don't want to do it on your dining room table or anything like that, which is exactly what I did my very first year I started seeds. I only had one 10 by 20 tray and I had it literally the heating mat, the light, everything right up on my dining room table, and it was fine. It was great. But the next year I knew I wanted to grow more seeds, so I invested in this shelf. And if you are just getting started, I suggest going to my video that I made about like 7 basic seed starting supplies, just to get you started, to kind of get you acquainted with the process and everything like that. This shelf is in there. A whole bunch of other things that I suggest are in there, so you should go watch that video if you're just getting started and you're wondering. Little shelf. Oh, come on. Whoa! Whoa! I have you downstairs and I'm going to kind of show you how the onion seedlings are doing. I'll talk you through like just the whole process. A lot of stuff has happened. This whole area, I have still yet to figure out how this is going to work, but I need to like clean this area out so I can put that other shelf eventually. I just have a lot of rearranging to do. This is our storage area and there's just stuff everywhere and grow bags. I'm going to be growing potatoes this year. So I bought two 15-gallon grow bags and I am so excited. So I was going to do a whole video series on onions, but I don't know. I just felt like I could do a vlog style video, come in here, kind of explain what I've been doing and how everything has been going versus just a dedicated video. I didn't feel like there was enough to really talk about. So if you watched that video, you would have known that I did soil blocking for the very first time. And if you're unfamiliar with soil blocking, that is these tiny little blocks right here that you make out of soil. You use that little device in there, that metal thing that makes 4 blocks at a time. I think they have ones that make more, but this is what I did. And honestly, I hate to say it, but I don't think I'm a big fan of it. Like, a lot of them have fallen apart, which you can tell that I have up-potted them some to these pots, which thankfully I had these on hand. I wasn't ready to like up-pot them to these bigger ones right here, but I didn't really want to up-pot them at all. Like, I didn't think I would have to up-pot these because most people that I have seen that have used soil blocks have never up-potted the onions. So I'm just really confused. They ended up falling apart, a lot of them, and it was just a little frustrating, and I don't know. I just wasn't a fan, but I'm not completely going to give up on them yet. So some things that I've been doing with the onion seeds is just been keeping them watered really well. It's hard to tell you when to water them. You just kind of have to watch and see. And if you think that they need water, like yesterday, I came down here, I check on them periodically, and I have this fan that I have going on them probably around 2 times a day. I usually do somewhere between 2 to 4 hours each time. And that just kind of like strengthens them up so they stand up really well. I've already trimmed them. When they get to be about, see this guy back here, this one, he's really, really, really tall. And he has that little, this is where the seed was at the very top. He probably needs to be trimmed. I need to trim him down probably about 2.5 inches or so. And you can see the ones that I have trimmed. I will trim them periodically as they're growing because as they're growing right now, I want them to focus on their roots and not so much on the top growth. I have been fertilizing them. Actually, I've only fertilized them once, and that was yesterday. I went ahead and bought this fertilizer. I've seen a lot of people use this. It wasn't too bad, but I'm very happy with them. I'm still thinning them out a lot of the times too. As I'm thinning them out, if they're really good, I'm putting them in a pot and I'm seeing if they do well, because I originally planted 20 yellow, 20 red onions, but a lot of the seeds that I put in the cells germinated, and I realized I wanted more, but I didn't necessarily want to start more. So I don't know, by the end of this, I'll have to count and see how many onions I have because I have no clue. But I will say, I've noticed a lot of them are starting to get their second, like, stem. You can see this one right here is getting it. As far as down here, give you a little peep. There is some growth and things coming in. So in that container, I started snapdragons, 2 different kinds. I started oregano, parsley, cilantro, and yarrow. So there's a whole bunch of them. I have actually never started any of those before. So that is definitely a first for me. And it looks like so far oregano, 1 snapdragon, and what else was it? The yarrow. They have all come up, and that's a win in my book. So that is the seedling update. I have used that new fertilizer once yesterday, and so far it's doing good. I actually used it on my houseplants. It said that you could. So I have this houseplant right here that I honestly have no clue what it is at this point. I forget what it is. It's like some kind of rubber tree thingy. I fertilized that. And then I have a pothos like right up there that I fertilized. So that's kind of like my indoor experiment, is to see how those do with this fertilizer. But I wanted to show you some of my planning and things that I do to kind of prep myself for the year. I will say this year I am the most prepped, the most like organized, because sometimes the garden season just kind of like creeps up on you. Like it's Christmas and then all of a sudden it's January and you don't think, oh, garden season's coming up. And then next thing you know, yeah, garden season is coming up. So I highly suggest, if you are a paper notebook person or what, I mean, I guess even if you're not a paper notebook person, you could do this online, but I have this thing with online stuff that I don't like to put all my notes online because I'm like, what happens when something happens and like the online goes down and then you can't get to your notes. So I am a paper, pencil, pen person to the heart. Like it's what I will always do. And I hope one day that my kids will be really into gardening. I mean, they are now, but I will hope that one day that they can take this book and they can take my notes and everything and just use it for themselves, because gardening is like, I had to have a notebook for this. I'll show you what I like write down in it, because each year, like you have such a good amount of time in between years that you kind of forget stuff. So I actually started this in 2022. It was my first garden season. I will say in 2021, I did grow some strawberries and like a planter that I built. But other than that, that was really the gist of it, because we had just moved into this house and it was being built. So we like kind of missed, we moved in May. So it's like we missed the whole time where I could have went out and made our garden. So I always write down the starting date and when I planted outside. So, and then I draw, you know, the beds that I have, and I try to say like where I put things so I know to like kind of rotate them. And then I always have the garden notes for that year. So like I'll write down things like, this was the year I did high mowing, Cortland, onion seeds, and I will say like, oh, they did really good, because I will try different varieties each year. But what I really wanted to show you is this year I wrote down what I'm all gonna plant, and it was a long list. And then I went in and I write when I have to start them, because it was starting to get a little overwhelming. And then I wrote a list of things that I need to trellis, and this is like all flowers. So these are all the flowers that I'm growing this year. It's a little bit more than last year, but this is also my second year flower gardening. So I showed you this bed out here. This one right there was what I added last year, and that was all flowers. I will put a video here, but like it was so nice. I loved the fact that we had so many hummingbirds and we had all my little cardinal friends were out there, the little yellow parakeet birds. We had tons of butterflies, tons of bees, and that is something that I just suggest if you're new to gardening. Always have some type of flower out there because the flowers are going to bring in those pollinators and it's really, really going to help your garden. And